Hey guys, so if you've been following my channel lately, you know that last week I did what was called Turtles Week, where I reviewed every single Ninja Turtles movie leading up to this new one, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. So this is the official end of Turtles Week, and I'm kind of sad to see it go, but I'm excited to move on to some new things. As I did in my previous videos, I'm going to preface this video by saying in no way is this or any of the other Ninja Turtle films considered to be like critically acclaimed or like award-winning by any means. My review is strictly based on how I feel and my love for these characters in this franchise. So it has nothing to do with like being super strict about, how the acting was and how, the cinematography was and all that stuff. I don't really care. It's just pure nostalgia and it's just pure fun for me. And with that, let's get to the review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. So this is the sequel to the 2014 reboot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, this film, I have to say, made so many improvements that the first film messed up really, really bad. This film did so many things right with the franchise and like more recognizable to the franchise than the first film did. So many improvements were made. We got a new director. Shredder is much better improved. We actually get to see him. A lot of people say he was like a robot in the first film. He wasn't a robot. He was just a guy in a different suit that kind of looked Transformer-y. But they completely recast the guy that played Shredder. We actually get some Shredder time, I guess is the best way to call it. Johnny Knoxville, thankfully, is no longer the voice of Leonardo. That was given to the actor who actually does the CG, which ironically, all the other actors that do the CG for the characters also do the voices. So why didn't they just give it to the guy who did Leonardo the first time? I don't know, that just wasn't really necessary to give it to Johnny Knoxville. But I'm glad that they gave it to the other actor. It was a lot more natural, a lot less forced than Johnny Knoxville, because Johnny Knoxville does not come off as the voice of a massive Ninja Turtle to me. The guy who actually did it this time did a much better job, and thankfully it was a lot more believable in that aspect as well. Also, another improvement that we got was that the Turtles, they got rid of a lot of their accessories, a lot of their unnecessary accessories. For example, in the first film, Leonardo had like this bamboo type of like chest plate thingy. Michelangelo had like a bunch of like puka shells and stuff like that. Like the Ninja Turtles still have a lot of accessories. They have like backpacks. Leonardo has like a walkie-talkie now instead of like his New York pin on his shoulder. But I think that their accessories were a lot more toned down. They're still wearing pants, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it'd probably look weird in this version of the Ninja Turtles had they not been wearing pants. But I think that a lot of improvements were made in this film, and they were very, very welcome improvements. So really quick, let's talk about the story of the film. So the story is essentially that the four Ninja Turtles want to more or less come out of hiding. They're sort of sick of being stuck in the sewers. They saved the city in the last film, and all the credit was diverted away from them so they could remain in hiding. It was given to Will Arnett's character, who's sort of taken on this persona of what calls himself the Falcon. And he sort of, gets very big-headed with it. But it's a lot more fun, his character in this film, than it was in the last film. It felt a lot more forced in the first film. But I liked his aspect in this film. But the Turtles want to come out of hiding, but they're still, saving the city on the low. They get information that Shredder's going to be broken out of prison, which actually he is. There's a big freeway chase. Casey Jones is actually one of the guards who's supposed to be transporting him. There's that whole storyline. Shredder, who breaks out, meets Krang. Krang is an alien who wants to take over the world, convinces Shredder to help him bring these pieces together in order to bring what's called the Technodrome back over to Earth to destroy the planet so they can take it over, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, there's also henchmen Bebop and Rocksteady, who we have not gotten a live-action version of ever. These characters were massive, super popular characters in the 80s cartoon series. 80s cartoon series. So, I mean, just the fact that we finally get to see a live action version of them, although they are CG, I still say live action. It's amazing. I mean, they did an amazing job. I really, really like Bebop and Rocksteady. I actually liked them a lot more than I thought I was going to. I thought I was just going to be like, yeah, we got them. Good job, guys, and then just sort of be on our way. But they actually played semi-central, not central roles, but I mean, they got a lot of interaction between like Casey Jones, the Turtles. A lot of their scenes were very interesting, and I liked them a lot, which was surprising for me. Also in this film, we get Baxter Stockman, who's played by Tyler Perry. Baxter Stockman is a scientist. Now, he's supposed to at some point get turned into mutated into this fly, similar to how Bebop and Rocksteady got mutated into a warthog and a rhino. But, I mean, that didn't necessarily happen in this film, but spoiler alert, just in case. Which, by the way, speaking of spoiler alerts, there have been reviews where I've seen on the internet of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows where they're talking about spoilers. Really, there's no spoilers to this film. If you saw the trailer, you got the gist of it. I mean, there's a ton of other great things in this film, but there's really nothing to spoil. So I don't know if you see another review for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, no spoiler, there really is no spoiler or spoiler free, because it is spoiler free. There's nothing to spoil. They essentially saved the day. Big shocker, I know. But, Tyler Perry was interesting. It was interesting to not see him as Medea. It's probably the only time I've seen Tyler Perry not as Medea since the first Star Trek film. You remember that? He was in the first Star Trek film in 2009. Anyway, so he's supposed to turn into a fly at some point, but thankfully we didn't get into that. I think that would have made the film too muddled and too busy. I mean, there was a ton of characters being thrown at us in this one. We got a new Shredder, Casey Jones, Bebop and Rocksteady, Krang. There was so much. I'm glad they sort of kept that story away. Maybe that'll be a Ninja Turtles 3 thing if they get a third part, which honestly I don't see why not. I really, really like this film. It did so many things right. It got all the nostalgia. Everything nostalgia of Ninja Turtles that you want or liked, it's in there. Whether it's a reference to the cartoon, to the comic book, to the classic, I'll call it classic, but the 90s movies, there's references to literally everything. Everything. There's Vanilla Ice, not necessarily a cameo, but he has a song reference in the film. There are bits and pieces throughout this film that reference the other films. To the point where they wanted the 90s version of Casey Jones to cameo, as well as some other cameos, but unfortunately they decided against it. In fact, one cameo got cut, in case you're looking for it. I was looking for it the entire time, and then I found out it got cut. But speaking of Casey Jones, by the way, Stephen Amell plays Casey Jones in this film. It was very, very good, I have to admit. It's a different Casey Jones from what we're used to, but I have to keep in mind that this is the Turtles for a new generation. It's not the 90s Turtles that I know and grew up with and loved. So, of course, things are going to be different. I mean, you can't keep everything the same. I wasn't too psyched that Casey Jones was this corrections officer who wants to become a detective. Casey Jones, to me, is supposed to be more of a street vigilante type. Maybe he'll sort of go that direction now, now that he knows the Turtles and he sort of has a way to protect people in a different way, a little bit more outside of the law. But Stephen Amell, I think, did a wonderful job as Casey Jones. Like I said, it wasn't the same exact version of the 90s one we got, but, I mean, it was so nice to see Stephen Amell not brooding and having the weight of the world on his shoulders like he does on Arrow. It was a lot lighter, it was a lot more fun, and I actually really liked this Casey Jones, a lot more than I was concerned about it because it was different from the other one that I know so well. But, I mean, maybe in the next film he'll grow his hair out a little bit or something, and he'll be more of a street vigilante. I don't know, but I actually like this Casey Jones. Speaking of the casting, Megan Fox is back as April O'Neil. Her part is definitely a lot less in the sequel as it was in the first film. In the first film, she was a central character. It might well have just been called April O'Neil in the 4 Mutant Turtles. But this one, she definitely takes a back seat, which was actually kind of nice in a way, because this film very much focuses on the Ninja Turtles. The title actually fit what the subject matter was. It was about the Ninja Turtles, which was such a good thing to see. Although I do have to admit, Megan Fox did look pretty good in this film. Probably the best I think she's looked since Transformers 2. But that's just my personal opinion. But, you know, I like that she took sort of a back seat to the Ninja Turtles, because they put her so much in the focus of the first film. I think because she was the big name star that they were trying to bring the appeal to the franchise. So that's maybe why she played such a central role in the first film. So maybe because of they got the appeal, and you know, you still have that appeal of Megan Fox to kids and, you know, teenage boys. But I'm glad that she took that back seat, because we got to focus on what we wanted, which was the nostalgia, the characters, and the Ninja Turtles, most important. Also in this film, we get a lot more Michael Bay influence. Now, Michael Bay was not the director of the first film or the second film, but he was a producer. But that influence is very strong in this film. It was strong in the first film, but in this film, it is strong. Like, camera angles are very Michael Bay. The freeway chase, Michael Bay coming out of its ears. And so many references to Transformers. There's a scene where Michelangelo goes out on the street during like a Halloween parade type of thing, and there's a guy dressed up as Bumblebee. The Technodrome looks very much like, if you've seen Transformers Age of Extinction, it looks almost that entire scene of in the sky sort of floating orb type of thing. It was almost identical to Ninja Turtles to Transformers. There were definitely differences story-wise, imagery-wise, but the influences were there. Like, you know, Michael Bay definitely had his hand a lot further in this film than in the last film. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows was so much fun for me. I really loved it. Like, was it perfect? No. But the story mostly made sense. The characters were much better developed. They made tons of improvements on the Turtles as a whole. The storylines, their villains. Like, was it perfect? Like I said, no, because they had to try and balance so many characters into this one film. Almost, at least they didn't do like a Batman vs Superman, and like the Turtles got an email about the Krang or something like that, or about Bebop and Rocksteady. But you know, it balanced the characters well enough. I wouldn't say it was perfect, because certain characters did have to take back seats in order to lead up to other characters. But I mean, they did a fairly good job in balancing them out somewhat. Like I said, the story made sense. You actually felt for the characters a lot more, especially the Ninja Turtles. It's hard to connect with CG characters sometimes, because you don't get to see like a live emotion. The first film, the Turtles had emotions, but it wasn't the right emotions. Like, they had emotions, but it wasn't like something you cared about. You didn't care why Raphael was mad. You didn't care why Michelangelo was trying to be a goofball. You just sort of cared because it was nostalgic. But in this film, you actually get why they're mad at each other, or why they don't work as a team, or why they come together as a team. It works a lot better. Their dynamic definitely worked a lot better in this film. It made more sense. It was influenced so heavily with nostalgia and so many good things. Bebop and Rocksteady, a better Shredder. I wasn't a fan of Krang, although I did like the jokes that Michelangelo and the Turtles said about Krang. Those were pretty funny. But I wasn't a big fan of Krang. I liked the robot guy part, but I didn't like when he spent most of the time out of the body. It was kind of weird. I wasn't a big fan of that. But I mean, they did a good job at balancing all these characters and giving them a place in this film. And it just worked very well for me. Like I said, was it perfect? No, but it was a lot of fun. And I think that's what this movie was meant to be. It was meant to be fun. The grade I have to give Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows is a B. Like I said, was it perfect? No, but it was fun. It delivered on so many aspects that the first film failed on. It gave us the nostalgia. It gave us every good thing that we wanted from the Ninja Turtles. I think we got in this film. It was a fun summer blockbuster movie. It's not meant to be an introspective drama, which I think a lot of people sort of expect. It's not dark and gritty like a Dark Knight or like some of the Marvel's not gritty, but I mean Marvel has that fan base. This isn't those films. Like, they're not meant to be something that builds this entire world and makes you think, and it's supposed to be gritty and dirty and bloody and all that stuff. That's not what it's meant to be. That's not the Ninja Turtles, not at all. Maybe in like the original comic books, but it's not what the Turtles have grown to be. A lot of other reviewers will give this film a C to a D, maybe because they don't understand that this is meant to be a blockbuster film, a summer blockbuster film, not like Captain America Civil War, where it's built up this massive universe over 10 movies and this is the culmination of that. Or like Batman vs. Superman, where these massive superheroes are finally fighting each other. It's not meant to be an introspective drama like Spotlight or some other Oscar award-winning film like Birdman or something like that. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to be fun. This movie was meant for kids, and it works for kids. I mean, my inner kid was screaming, "This is amazing, like it's so much fun." And that's exactly what this film delivered. So that's why I give it a B over what most critics would give a lower grade. So guys, that puts the official stamp to the end of Turtles Week. I had so much fun doing all these Ninja Turtles films. I've said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles so many times. I've gotten really good at saying it really fast. I didn't resort to TMNT too many times, which I'm very proud of. But like I said, I had so much fun. But I'm glad to be back to my normal schedule. I can't wait to find new projects to do. Thank you so much for watching. Like always, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.